here onto the stage. Remember, use the comments below. We're going to dive into her journey, but also she's got an incredible activity for us to do this evening as well. In fact, all three of our speakers this evening have stuff for you to do. So don't think that you're going to get away with being passive and listening in and being inspired. That's great, but I want you to get shit done. We want to take some action that's going to get you the traction that you want to have. So let's bring Dagmar up onto the screen. We've got Dagmar Bryant. She's a PhD. She's based in the UK, although she's an Australian motivational speaker. She's a business coach who actively empowers and inspires women to pursue their dreams and desires. She's an uplifting, thought-provoking speaker and coach who combines both heart and head to help women unleash their best selves. Guys and girls, give it up for the amazing Dagmar. Dagmar, come on up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Can you hear me nice and loudly, clearly?
I hear you beautifully, my darling. Guys and girls, give us a hashtag applause, hashtag Dagmar. We're very excited to have you here, Dagmar. And oh my gosh, like there's so many layers to you and your story. For those ripple makers that don't know you yet, please like introduce yourself, tell us who you are and why you love doing what you do so much.
Well, as Sammy gave me that absolutely wonderful introduction, so I am a business coach and a motivational speaker. My story is about empowerment and breaking free of two very difficult men in my life. One was my father and one was an ex-husband. And both of them had the philosophy of it's my way or the highways. Now, for your audience, you may appreciate this. How many of you ever got to that point where you're thinking to yourself, that highway is looking mighty fine. Give me a hashtag 1 if you agree that you decided enough was enough.
Yeah, I'll put that hashtag 1 in there. Someone put that hashtag 1 in there for me, will you? Yes, yes.
And so what I want to do now, it's because I've had that journey, I want to empower other women to really be able to achieve their own goals. I want to help them break through their limitations, because those men in my life were saying to me, you have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. Oh, and by the way, let's do this, without ever having any consideration for what my wants and needs were. And I think that is so important. And what I want to help you do going forward is really break through your own limitations and possibly even finding that path. And I really do hope that you will find that path to be able to find your own mission, your own purpose, your own why around what you want to help others with yourself. And I'm just very passionate about that.
And you can see how passionate you are. And I love the work that you're doing. I'm very, very inspired by how you're doing it. And you know, I love getting behind ripple makers like yourself to get your voice out there to the world, because it's a message that is so desperately needed. Dagmar, let's dive into a little bit from the business growth point of view, because you know, you've been through so much. There's so many experiences we could talk about, but today we're talking about how you really owned your value, how you stepped up, how you rose up, how you wised up, and how you shone like the beacon of hope that you are right now. And we've got lots of ripple makers all over the world that are like, how do we do that? Like, if they're in that position that you were in, how do you go from there to really showing up and shining in what you want to do?
Well, part of that, the answer to that question is through a system that I have developed, and it's called the Essential Empowerment System. And it actually takes you through those steps. And I'd like to take you through one of those steps, and it's all about alignment. And how do you do that? You start by asking the question of yourself, is this where I want to be? And it's got to start from your heart, not your head. So often we get caught up in what we perhaps perceive, that we should do, maybe we could do, and we forget. We forget who we really are. And when we listen to our heart, that can help us take that initiative and take those steps. And one of the things that I would also give your audience is to say, do you say yes to everything but yourself? And I think that is so important. I mean, take a note of that. Do you forget to honor who you are? And they're the kind of things that you need to start with, honoring yourself. And what I find really interesting was only in the media this morning, Meghan Markle made the comment about on her podcast about being criticized for being too ambitious. And sometimes we also take on shit that is not our own, and we take on societal expectations, we take on expectations from other people. And what I would like you to do, if you're listening to this podcast, to this show today, this vidcast, I'd like you to write down, are you listening to your heart? And secondly, I'd like you to ask yourself, what is one thing that you can do today to reclaim your strength, to reclaim your power and who you are and what it is you want? I know that was a few questions, but it's kind of like all bound into one. What is that one thing that you could be doing to reclaim who you are and who you want to be?
Amazing. So let's deep dive a little bit more into those questions to break them down a little bit. And by the way, guys, like, how many of you have got to that point where it's like you're at a crossroads and you know that purpose is calling you? It's calling you to a higher game. So make sure you put your comments in the comments below this video so that we can go back and we can look through them, and I can see them all now coming in. Dagmar, can you just repeat the first question? Let's spend a minute or so just on that first question and get everybody to answer that, and then we'll go into the second question again.
Absolutely. So the first question is, are you being too accommodating to everybody else before yourself?
Okay, so give us yes, yes, yes if you are doing that and you know that you're doing that. I'd also love to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, like how big is that for you? Like, are you doing it a little bit? Have you worked on yourself? So it's like a 5 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10. Out of 10, how big is this for you? So that we can work out, not only do you have it, but how big is the gap between where you are and being able to move through it. So give us a score out of 10 in the comments below. All right, brilliant, guys. Well done. Keep them coming. All right. And Carol, I can see that you're commenting in Zoom, so I'll keep an eye on Zoom for you. Everyone else, keep that coming in the Facebook group. All right, brilliant. So, and before we move on to that second question, then, what happens if they recognize that there's actually a huge gap? There may be a 2 out of 10.
Well, I would recommend finding someone that you can talk to about that, because whether it's me, whether it's Sammy, whether it's other people that we know, we all have mentors, accountability partners. So is there someone who you can check in with who can help you with the answer to those questions? Because how we see ourselves can be quite different to how we really are.
Yeah, completely. I mean, how often, guys and girls, have you had somebody like really shine the light on your brilliance, and you're like, well, I just do that naturally. You don't value yourself. That's what today is all about, right? Owning your value. And there are so many things that other people value about you that you don't even see, and you're completely blind to it. And it takes somebody to say it to you. But when they say it to you, do you freaking receive it? Do you receive it? I used to be shockingly shit at taking compliments. I went through an exercise when I was on a documentary a few years ago called Awakening Giants. And one of the processes that they did, which was really tough for me, like, you don't realize how tough it is until you're doing it, when they got us into pairs and we had to tell the other person, oh my God, you're so amazing. I love your hair. you've got beautiful eyes. I love your glasses. I love what you're wearing, right? And you had to give all these compliments, and it felt really good to be giving them, but then you had to receive them, and just how difficult it was to receive those compliments, right? And so then what we had to do was then, when that person gave us compliments, we had to say, what, this? I hate my hair. Oh, these glasses? I had them for years. And you had to kind of come back with this, like, this is shit sort of thing, because that's what we do. And it was so good to recognize that we do it. And since then, I've really been working on my my muscle for accepting compliments when they come in. So guys and girls, thank you. Really active in that chat there. Keep them coming. Dagmar, let's come on to that second question once more.
The next one that I had was about, do you hide your strength? Are you afraid? Do you hold yourself back from really fulfilling your potential? Because perhaps are you a little bit afraid to shine, which is a follow on from what you just said about, accepting that wonderful light that you might be. Well, actually, that you are.
Yeah. So again, on a score of 0 to 10, so that we can work out where that gap is. Let's hear see. We're hearing and seeing through the chat this evening. So keep those comments coming in. Dagmar, just, what happens with that if they find that they're a 2 or 3 or even 5 out of 10? What's the danger zone? At what point out of 10 would they need to do something, and what would you recommend they do?
I would say that we are all, each and every one of us, whether it's you, whether it's me, anyone else listening, we are all a work in progress. And it's always about reassessing where we are and knowing that there's always something else that we can learn. So I would say just acknowledge that you're a work in progress, and sometimes we have a little bit more work to do and sometimes a little bit less. It's going to vary throughout our lives. You never stop learning.
Yeah, that's so true. We just when we think we're there, and it's like, oof, there comes another summit. There comes another one to climb. Dagmar, for those people that really want to find out more about your brilliant work and what you do and how you're doing it, could you share with us, how can people get in contact with you? How can we find out more?
Well, I'd absolutely love you to get in touch via my website. It's dagmarbryant.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. It's also Dagmar Bryant, and connect with me there.
Perfect. Well, I've got all your details, so we'll make sure that goes in the description with the replay of this video. Guys and girls, give it up for the amazing Dagmar. Dagmar, thank you so much for dropping in with us at One Drop today. Really excited to have you here with us, and looking forward to seeing more of your journey, how that unfolds, and becoming a part of what we're doing here at One Drop Movement. Really looking forward to that.
Thank you so much for giving me the time to be here, and I wish you all the best.
Oh, you're very welcome. Right. Okay. Well, stay backstage if you can, Dagmar, and join in with the fun that we're having backstage. I'm now going to ripple forward. Yes, we are creating our waves. But before we do, actually, I'd love to know, what was your aha or your light bulb, or something that you realized, something you were reminded of just in what Dagmar was sharing with us just then? If you put it in the comments for us, we'll be able to go back and see.